Alex stood on the observation balcony of the human diplomatic cruiser, gazing at the luminous city floating above the crystal ocean of Zephyra. The planet shimmered with colors he had never seen before, blues and purples twisting in the sky as if the heavens themselves were alive. For years, humanity had dreamed of contacting alien civilizations, and now he was here, representing Earth in the most important mission of his life. He felt proud yet nervous. Pride mingled uneasily with fear. He had been warned. Zephyra was known for its alien protocols and strict customs. Any human misstep could be disastrous. And yet, as he watched the city's spires reflect sunlight, a small, irrational part of him hoped for something more, something personal, something human. The ceremony was to take place in the central palace, a structure carved from transparent crystal, glowing from within like a living jewel. Delegates from multiple species had gathered. Alex moved through the crowd, noting the alien courtiers' strange movements, their elongated limbs, and their bright reflective eyes. They whispered in a language he could barely parse, their tones melodic yet commanding. Yet in the center of it all stood her, Princess Leora. Alex could barely breathe. Leora's presence was unlike anything he had ever encountered. She radiated authority and calm, but there was a softness to her gaze that made humans feel welcome, even when they were guests on a foreign planet. Her golden hair shimmered faintly, almost as if lit from within, and her eyes held colors that reminded him of the dawn and dusk at the same time. He could not explain why his heart raced. It was not merely her beauty, but something more, something about the strength he sensed beneath her grace. He followed protocol, bowing slightly as he passed. But when he found a quiet moment near a balcony overlooking the ocean, he whispered to himself, almost as if the words were a prayer, "I wish I had the opportunity to marry her." He thought no one could hear him. He was mistaken. Leora, standing a few meters away, had turned. Her eyes locked onto his, wide with curiosity. A small smile touched her lips, barely noticeable, but it was there. She said nothing, only looked, and Alex felt a chill run down his spine. Their eyes held each other's gaze, two souls separated by species and worlds, yet inexplicably connected. The ceremony began, and Alex followed the procession, trying to focus on his role. He was here as a diplomat, as a human ambassador, but he could not shake the thought of Leora. She moved with such confidence, her every gesture deliberate, each step a study in elegance and authority. As she spoke to other delegations, Alex noticed the courtiers' reactions. They treated her with reverence, but he also saw hints of suspicion. Humans were new to Zephyra. Our impulsive nature, they said, made us dangerous. Alex knew that he had to prove that humanity could rise above instinct, that humans were capable of wisdom, courage, and understanding. But first, he had to navigate the ceremony without offending anyone, a daunting task when every movement and word were under scrutiny. Midway through the event, a sudden alarm sounded. The crystal spires of Zephyra's city shimmered violently, and the ocean below roared as if alive. A natural storm, rare but deadly, was sweeping toward the palace. Panic rippled through the delegates. Alex's heart leapt. This was a test of sorts, not orchestrated by the council, but a trial he could not ignore. "Stay here," an aide said urgently, but Alex shook his head. "No, I have to help," he said firmly. There was no time to debate. Instincts told him that someone had to act. He dashed toward the central chambers where Leora and her attendants were gathered. The storm was growing stronger, jagged bolts of crystal lightning striking the palace exterior. He noticed a group of alien guards frozen in hesitation, unsure of how to react. Alex did not hesitate. He grabbed the nearest energy field panel, rerouting the power to stabilize the chamber's walls temporarily. Leora's eyes followed him, and for the first time, she saw not a nervous human, but someone brave, quick-thinking, and capable. The courtier's suspicion flickered into admiration. Alex worked quickly, communicating with the palace systems through gestures, following logic and intuition rather than protocol. Finally, the chamber stabilized. The storm was still raging outside, but inside the delegates and the princess were safe. Leora approached him, her gaze steady, her golden hair glinting in the emergency lights. "You acted without hesitation," she said. Her voice carried no accusation, only awe. "Humans are different than I expected." Alex felt his face heat. "I could not stand by," he said simply. "Not when others were in danger." She studied him for a long moment. There was a weight in her expression, a mixture of curiosity and something he could not name. Finally, she nodded almost imperceptibly. "Perhaps I underestimated your kind," she said softly. That night, after the storm had passed, Alex found himself on the balcony again. The city glowed under the twin moons, and he reflected on the day's events. He had survived cultural scrutiny, helped save lives, and caught the attention of Princess Leora, not through flattery or words, but through courage and action. A subtle sound behind him made him turn. Leora stood there, her robes flowing with the night breeze, her eyes calm and unreadable. "I watched you today," she said. "You risked yourself when no one expected it. Tell me, why?" Alex swallowed hard. "Because it was right," he said, "and because I care about those who cannot protect themselves." He paused, then added quietly, "Even if it means risking everything, even for someone I barely know." Leora regarded him silently. There was no immediate answer, no declaration, only a careful consideration. But Alex felt that in her gaze there was acknowledgement, perhaps even a spark of trust. Over the next few days, Alex continued to navigate the delicate social structure of the Zephyrian court. Every interaction became a test, not only of diplomacy but of character. He listened more than he spoke, learned more than he argued, and showed respect for the customs that were alien to him. Leora, in turn, observed. She asked subtle questions, tested his knowledge, and sometimes allowed him to assist in delicate negotiations. With each successful act, Alex earned not only respect from the council but also a deeper sense of connection with the princess. Yet, despite all his efforts, a question remained between them, silent, unspoken but undeniable. The whispered wish from that first day lingered in the air, a fragile bridge between human hope and alien curiosity. Could such a wish ever be realized? Could two beings from entirely different worlds ever cross the boundaries of protocol and expectation? One evening, as the moons reflected off the crystal towers, Alex found himself alone with Leora again. He felt the weight of the moment, the tension of cultures and expectations pressing around them. She turned toward him, her gaze sharp and clear. The words he had whispered days ago, trembling on his lips, suddenly seemed both bold and foolish. "I wished I had the opportunity to marry you," he said quietly, almost inaudibly. Leora's eyes widened slightly. She studied him, not with judgment but with curiosity, as if trying to measure the depth of his sincerity. The silence stretched between them, filled with the hum of the city and the distant echoes of the storm that had passed. Finally she spoke, her voice low, carrying a weight that made Alex's heart pound. "Perhaps there is more to humans than I believed," she said, her lips curling into a faint, enigmatic smile. "Perhaps your wish is not entirely impossible." Alex felt a surge of hope, tempered by the knowledge that much still stood between them, customs, councils, and centuries of untested boundaries. But for the first time he felt that human courage, empathy, and perseverance had made an impression, and that perhaps, just perhaps, the impossible might one day be within reach. As he watched Leora walk away, he realized that this was only the beginning. The journey ahead would be challenging, filled with tests, trials, and unlikely alliances. Yet Alex understood that humanity had already proven something vital, that courage, wisdom, and the willingness to act selflessly could shine across the universe. And for that moment, as the Zephyrian city glittered beneath the twin moons, Alex dared to believe that his whispered wish, uttered in a fleeting breath, might one day echo into reality. The days following the storm were tense but alive with opportunity. Alex had proven his courage, and Princess Leora's curiosity about humans seemed to grow with each passing hour. The alien council, cautious yet intrigued, kept a closer watch on him. Every word he spoke, every gesture he made became a delicate test. Alex understood that his actions mattered more than ever, not only for himself, but for the reputation of humanity. He spent mornings walking through the crystal halls of the palace, observing the court's routines, learning the subtleties of Zephyrian communication, and finding ways to assist without overstepping. Leora often appeared, sometimes quietly guiding him through protocol, sometimes watching from a distance, her expression unreadable yet focused. Alex had learned that patience and humility were as important as courage. One afternoon, as the twin, Moons rose in the sky. Leora approached him while he studied a holographic map of Zephyr's ocean currents. "Alex," she said softly, "do humans always act so impulsively?" He looked up, slightly startled. "We can," he admitted. "But we also learn quickly, and we try to do what is right." She tilted her head, her eyes catching the reflection of the moons. "I have observed your actions. You act carefully but with heart. That is unusual." Alex smiled faintly. "I believe heart is the same in every world. Courage and compassion are universal, even if your customs are not." Leora studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Perhaps it is. Perhaps there is more to your kind than my people have allowed themselves to see." Over the next few days, Alex faced a series of increasingly difficult tasks designed by the Council to test human adaptability and moral judgment. The first was a negotiation with a rival species who claimed ownership of the Crystal Ocean's resources. Humans and Zephyrians had to collaborate to prevent conflict. Alex's approach was unconventional. He listened carefully, asked questions that others would have ignored, and proposed compromises that combined logic with empathy. The result was a peaceful resolution, earning nods of approval from both the Council and the rival delegation. Next came a trial in the palace's training arena, where he had to demonstrate strategic thinking under pressure. Alien warriors and strategists watched as he navigated a series of challenges simulating a planetary defense scenario. Alex's human instincts, tempered by observation and patience, allowed him to succeed where purely logical aliens struggled. Leora watched from the gallery, her expression a mixture of surprise and growing admiration. Finally, a more personal test awaited. The Council presented Alex with a situation in which he had to make a choice that could endanger himself or fail to protect others. It was the ultimate measure of character, and Alex's mind raced as he considered the consequences. Without hesitation, he chose to risk himself, demonstrating that his courage and values were genuine, not performative. Leora approached him afterward, her gaze piercing but kind. "You have exceeded expectations," she said. "It seems your whispered wish was not a fleeting thought, but a reflection of your true self." Alex felt a warmth he could hardly describe. I never expected anything. I only wanted to do what is right." She studied him for a moment, then leaned slightly closer, her voice a soft murmur. "And yet, sometimes doing what is right leads to unexpected possibilities." That night, the palace was quiet. Alex wandered along the balcony, gazing at the moonlit ocean below. His thoughts drifted to the whispered words he had spoken long ago. He had feared they were nothing more than a dream, a human fantasy too fragile to endure in an alien world. Yet now those words felt alive, connected to everything he had done and everything he hoped to achieve. A gentle presence beside him made him turn. Leora stood there, her robes brushing lightly against the crystalline floor. Her eyes reflected the twin moons, and there was a softness there he had not seen before. "Alex," she said, her voice carrying the weight of sincerity, "you have shown me what humans can be. Courageous, thoughtful, compassionate, and I want to understand more." Alex swallowed, his heart pounding. I am honored," he said simply. She smiled, a genuine, radiant smile that lit her face in the moonlight. "Your wish, the one you whispered?" She paused, as if considering carefully. Perhaps it was not foolish. Perhaps it was the beginning of something new, for both our peoples. Alex felt a surge of hope. "You mean?" "I mean that humans are not merely visitors in our world," Leora said, her gaze steady. "You are capable of great things, and sometimes admiration and respect can grow into something more." Alex's breath caught. The possibility he had dared to dream, the one he had whispered into the night, now seemed tangible. Not as a guarantee, but as a potential path. A future built on courage, trust, and mutual respect. Over the following weeks, Alex continued to work alongside Leora, not as a diplomat merely, but as a partner in thought and action. Together they addressed political tensions, natural disasters, and cultural misunderstandings. Each success further strengthened the bond between them, and the council began to recognize that humans were indeed a valuable presence on Zephyra. During one diplomatic gathering, a group of young Zephyrian nobles approached Alex, curious about human customs. He explained with patience and humor, sharing stories of human ingenuity and kindness. Leora watched him interact, her eyes shining with admiration. "You teach them without arrogance," she whispered later. "That is rare." Alex smiled softly. "I only speak the truth. Humans have much to offer, if others are willing to see." One evening, after a long day of negotiations and cultural exchanges, Alex found himself walking through the palace gardens with Leora. The gardens were alive with bioluminescent plants that glowed softly in the night. The air was fragrant with unfamiliar scents, yet comforting. "Alex," Leora began, "I have considered what your presence here has meant. Not only to me, but to my people. You have proven that humans are capable of more than we imagined, and you have proven that courage and heart can cross worlds." Alex felt the words settle deeply within him. "I have only tried to do what is right," he said. She reached out, placing a delicate hand on his arm. "Sometimes what is right is the hardest path, and sometimes it leads to understanding, trust, and perhaps even connection." Alex looked into her eyes, seeing not only intelligence and grace, but a glimmer of hope, of openness to possibilities beyond convention. "Princess Leora," he said, his voice steady, "if there is even a chance, I would be honored to walk that path with you." She smiled, the kind of smile that held both warmth and authority, and said words that echoed in his heart. "Then let us see where this path leads. Together." The council, having observed Alex's character and Leora's support, began to reconsider the rigid traditions that had once limited human interaction with Zephyra. Discussions were held, ideas exchanged, and slowly, the possibility of deeper collaboration and mutual respect became more than theory. It became reality. Alex realized that this journey had never been solely about personal desire. It had been about proving humanity's worth, about showing that courage, intelligence, and empathy could shine even in worlds far removed from Earth. And in doing so, he had earned the respect of not only an alien princess, but of an entire civilization. The whispered wish from long ago, the simple human hope for connection, was no longer just a wish. It was the beginning of a story, one that spanned worlds and species, one that celebrated what humans could offer: bravery, kindness, and the ability to rise to challenges with both heart and mind. As he and Leora stood together in the moonlit garden, Alex felt a profound sense of purpose. Humanity had come to Zephyra not merely as guests, but as capable allies, capable friends, and perhaps even more. The future was uncertain, full of trials, and lessons yet to come, but it was bright with potential, and for the first time, Alex allowed himself to dream freely, not merely of possibility but of partnership. Not just with Princess Leora, but with the promise that humans could stand proudly among the stars, earning respect, trust, and admiration through courage, integrity, and heart. The twin moons reflected in the crystal waters below, shimmering like a promise. Alex and Leora looked out over the city, knowing that this was only the beginning. And in that moment, across the vast expanse of alien skies and crystal oceans, the whispered wish of a human had begun to echo into a reality that might one day surpass even the wildest dreams of Earth.